This one's gonna be on Partimage. Is a way to clone or restore a partition from your hard drive or flash drive, whatever you have. So first thing you want to do is to confirm which device you want to use or which partitions you want to use. So to do that, there's a few ways to do this, but you can do lsblk for block device, and this one will show you all the mounted device that is on your computer. So you can see that they have SDA. That's usually your operating system and all that, or your first hard drive. And I have other ones in here, right? But the ones that we want to use is this one, SDD. This one is my SD card, and you can see it's only 15 megabytes here, and it's in VFAT. And all these other ones are just my Linux, ext4 and all that. So we're going to use this one, and since this one doesn't have any partitions because the whole drive is a partition, we're just going to use this one. Normally you would use something like SDC1, 2, or 3, whatever, but this one does not have any partitions. The whole drive is one single partition, right? So that's what we're going to do to clone this for our example. Anywho, now that you figured out which device or partitions you want to use, we're going to use the program. Just do sudo partimage. Partimage should be in your repositories. So this is what it looks like here. And like I said, the important one is that you want to select your partitions that you want to use. So if you use the wrong one, especially when you're restoring it, it will delete everything. So big warning there, you want to select the right one, right? So we're going to use SDD here in red. Now the way to navigate in here is just up and down arrow or something like that, or you can use tabs, right, to tab through it, or shift tab to go backwards. You can use space, let me see here, to select the options you want, right, so on and so forth. But let's go back to selecting. So we selected SDD for our partition that you want to use, and where do you want to save the image? So to browse, you can go over here on this little star here and hit enter, and this is basically where you browse to different location where you want to save. So we're going to do downloads here, and in here all you gotta do is hit tab, and then you hit OK here. Now you want to go shift tab to go back in here. That's where you want to save it. What name do you want to give it? So we're going to do slash, and we'll call this one by my name here. Dot, I usually like to call it dot partimage, so we know which program created this, right? So that's it. And I hit tab. Now they have three options here: save a partition to a new image file here, right? They do have a restore partition. We'll do that later on, and they do have a restore master boot record, but we're not doing that for this video. So we're just going to use these two options. So the first one, we're going to save it, and you can actually hit F5 if you want to go really quick to there, or you can just hit tab, and you can tab all the way to here where it says next. Obviously if you want to exit, there's F6, and they do have some server stuff, but we're not doing that for this video, but just know that it's there. Anyways, we're gonna go next. Either hit F5 or hit next on this menu here and hit enter. And in here it says please unmount. So if you have your device mounted, you can actually use this command to unmount using the umount command, and then your your location of the device that you mounted. But you can do this from the GUI if you want. So let's do it here. We're going to do this from the GUI. Just unmount this thing, and we'll go back in here. Anyways, they do have some other options in here, like compression levels. So if you want to save space, you can actually do a gzip. If you want even more saving space, then you use a bz2, and it'll go lower the image even smaller. The thing with compressions is that it will take time. If you are going to restore or extract it or whatever, it will take time to do that. Anyways, we're gonna do none for this one, so we want to do it really quick. None, right? And then you're just gonna hit tab all the way down. This one, if you want to was that check the partition before saving. If you want to enter a description, yeah, we'll just leave it as the default. Now down here where it says split mode, I'm not sure what this automatically split is. I think this one is for if you want to keep it as a single image instead of like splitting it up. The next one here, this is where you split up the size. Obviously, right here it says it's about 2 gigs. Every 2 gigs it will split the image. So either way, you can use the first one here or the second one. And if you want to keep this one as a single image, just make it bigger than what you're copying. So let's say if you're copying you know, a 10 gig or something like that, then you put like 20 gigs or something like that, right? So let's say 20 gigs, and then it'll be one single image when you're outputting this, right? Anyways, let's do that. We'll tab over here and hit continue. And here you put in a description of your saved partition. So we're just gonna put SD card, my name here for screencast, right? Something like that. Hit OK. And here it'll tell us our like our FAT information for our file systems, and just hit tab. You can hit tab, and then where it says OK here, you hit enter, and it'll do its job. It'll save it. And at the bottom here, they actually have what is that? Different hotkeys to pause it and resume, and even cancel, whatever. Now it's done, so we hit enter, and that is it. So we'll list it out here. Right, this one is just 13 megabytes, and this is our image name. So the name that it will give us is the name that we had, but the extension they use is .000. So I don't know why they do that, but that's the extension they use for part image here. Anyways, we have our image backed up, so let's open up our device here. We'll mount this. Let's say we delete everything besides this audio file, right? And let's say we restore it. How would we do that? The same thing. Now that we have an image already, we just do sudo partimage and type in our password. We'll do the same thing. This one is SDD here, and that's the partition that we want to use. And so now we just browse to the image that we want to restore. So this is the image that we just created, and we're going to restore that by hitting enter, and then we hit tab, and then we hit OK, and now it pre-fills out for us the path, right? So this is the path here. And at the bottom here, where it says actions to be done, we're going to use this one that says restore from an image file. So we go there and we hit space, and the star goes there. That's pretty much it. We're going to go to next here, hit enter. And oh shit, we have to unmount it again. So we're gonna do unmount here. We're gonna unmount this manually here. Unmount. And now it'll give us the description of the partition that the partition image that we use. So this is what we had earlier. We gave it a name, SD card, and then my name, and then for screencast. Then we hit OK. And here they have different options. If you want to simulate it, we're not gonna do that. We don't want to waste time. Erase the free blocks. We'll keep it as is right here, and just go down to continue here, and that is it. Now we just hit tab and hit OK on the enter here. Now this is your final confirmation, just because they don't want you to fucking cry if you did it wrong. All right. So this one, it tells us, do you really want to restore this device that we're using here, or this partition that we're using here, from this image that we just created? We'll say yes. You can hit tab on the yes here and hit enter, and basically it's going to restore all the files that we deleted earlier, and we'll wait for it to finish here. Oh yeah, another thing is that this one doesn't work on newer file systems like ext4 or btrfs. It only works on FAT16, 32, NTFS, was that Riser FS and EXT23 and so on and so forth, but none of the newer ones. So you know, it's not it hasn't been updated in a while. I'll say that because I think it's been like 2 or 3 years since they've maintained this. Anywho, just a little disclaimer for you if you're gonna use this here. But we're done, and that is it. Let's check it. So let's go into here, and you see all our images are back that we deleted earlier. So that's that. Next thing is this one has a, you know, text user interface, but they also have a command line user interface here. So we'll do the command line way to do this, you know, right? And we'll bust out the help page for this. What is the help page? So partimage -h, and we're gonna pipe it to less. And you see this is the help page here. And basically they give us a few examples. So you could use Partimage, and then you can do a compression, and you can do an overwrite, and you can do no description. And they do have different options. Like I said, the first time we did was save, and then we did a restore. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do save and restore from the command line. So let's bust out this. We'll just copy one of these for example. All right, and in here we're gonna do, what was that? Actually, we don't need this part here. So we know our device that we want to use, or our partition that we want to use, is SDD. And where do you want it output to? We're already in the downloads folder, but for dramatic purposes, we're gonna put out the full path here, and we'll give it a new name. We'll call this one, I don't know, YouTube.partimage, right? And as far as the we do have to run it as sudo user, and the compression. So right here, this is your compression option. You have to do whatever you want to do. If you're doing a no compression, then you know that's the one that we did. Put -z0. If you're doing a gzip, then you do a 1. If you're doing bz2, then you do a 2 here, so on and so forth. Now, if you're doing these other compressions, you want to have the right extension. So if you're doing like a gzip, then you do a .gz. If you're doing bz2, then it's the .bz2, right? Since we're gonna do no compression, which is z0, so we'll do a z0 here. Then we don't have to have any extension. And also, we want to run this as a batch mode. Otherwise, it'll prompt us to it'll prompt us to confirm and all this bullshit. So we don't want to do that. So we're gonna do a -b for batch here, right? So let's do that here, -b for batch, and that's it. That's all you gotta do. And now we're gonna do enter. And oh yeah, it's error because we still have our device mounted. So you can do, what was that we do? We still have our device mounted. You can just unmount it here, and now we should do that again here. It should work. So there we go. We're gonna make a clone copy of that partition, and we'll wait for it here. So there we go. We have our partition cloned in. So this is the one here, right? YouTube. And if you want to restore it, it's pretty much the same thing. It's just that what is that we use for restore here? So this one right here, we're gonna do a restore. And how did we do this here? We do sudo partimage. Did we do that right? Sudo Partimage Restore, and we want to restore SDD. And the image that we want to use is, where is it located at? This YouTube one, right? And also we want to do a batch mode, so we do a -b. Now let's confirm this by deleting some stuff in here. Let's delete some stuff. That's not the one we want to use. Cancel. So we'll delete some stuff in here. Let's say we delete, I don't know, these 3, and we'll delete this 2, and we only have this image left, right? So let's say we restore it here, unmount, and let's say we do this restore, and it should restore all the images that we just deleted and all the other files too. So let's see if it works. Now the reason why you want to use this over like the dd command or something like that, because the dd command, let's say if you have you know, it will save everything bit for bit, even like the free space that you're not using. So let's say if you had a SD card with 5 gigs and inside that SD card you're only using 2 gigs, well, the dd command, it will copy the free space too. So it's inefficient because you know, if you only want to save space and you only want to copy the stuff that you actually use, not the stuff that is empty, then you would want to use like a real partition cloner instead of DD. DD is more for like forensic scientists where, you know, you're cloning everything, right? Anyways, that's a little thing on that. But let's see if it works here. So we have our image back, and that's how you use the program. Not really that hard. I do like the interface. I like the command line interface and everything. I like this way better than Clonezilla. I mean, Clonezilla does more features, although I fucking hate Clonezilla because the menu interface they have fucking sucks. There's like no back button or anything like that, and the menu is like on top of menus on top of menus, and you know, it's just not efficient, and they don't have command line options. So this one has both, just the command line and the text user interface. Anyways, I probably would only use this for the stuff that they support. So what do they support here? Like I said before, they support ext2, 3. They don't support 4, which is kind of a shame. RiserFS, FAT16, 32, so on and so forth here. They do have NTFS. It says experimental, but there's a lot of people said that it works just fine. Doesn't matter if it says experimental or not. Anywho, if you have a usage for this, should be in your repositories. That's it for this long video. Go ahead and use it.